super excited. Episode 7.
Who has that? What's the clip?
That was specially designed.
Really?
Had that, put together just for us by this little box, and it came with the box.
What do you call it?
I call it the interlude tune.
The interlude.
Yeah.
It's not the prelude? That's not like the...
Yeah, the prelude.
Oh, the prelude.
The prelude tune.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know who did it. It just came with the box, and I've sort of stolen it and told everybody that I had it specially designed. I did not.
It is mine, so you have to pay me.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyways, episode 7, Anthony Rose. I couldn't be more excited. This is like my brother. I can't believe you actually said yes, so thank you.
You kidding me, man? I've known you forever.
Literally
forever
46
ever.
years. 46 years. We've been through a lot together.
Yeah, I'm 50 as of like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, shit, that's right.
I know.
November
21st.
21st.
I know I look a lot younger. Is that what you're about to say?
Well, you do. I think of you as my age. I think of you as one of my friends, not a friend's older brother. So it's hard to remember that you're 50 years old.
Yeah, long time. Long time.
Cow. I remember your bar mitzvah.
It was a good one.
It was a good one.
Were you drunk as well? Or
It was at, no, man. It was, so if you're 50, at your bar mitzvah, I was 9 years old. But it was at Stop 33, right?
That's right.
And it was a luncheon.
I don't actually remember if it was luncheon or not. I do remember lots of balloons.
I remember the logo was like a wine label with your face
That's
on
right,
it.
yeah.
So even at the age of 13.
And Al Woods was there. And who was it? Was like Terrence was his like cohort DJ dude.
Yeah, totally.
Al Woods and Terrence.
Clarence.
That's right. Good one.
Not Clarence.
Yeah.
He is an urban legend in the Jewish community.
Is he still around? He must be dead.
You know what? Not recently, obviously, not in the last 10 years, but I remember he resurfaced right around when my friends were getting married, and he would show up at the odd wedding. I don't know if the Megan boys had something to do with that, but I would love to know where Clarence is today.
No, we can get him on.
So Clarence was even around for your bar mitzvah. That's amazing.
Yeah, episode number 12.
Episode number 12.
Yeah.
So, well, this is episode 7. I admire you tons, Anth. I think you're an amazing person, not only obviously an amazing chef and everything. One of the things I really wanted to discuss with you, because I think a lot of agents can benefit learning from you in the branding that you've done for yourself. So you are, aside from your restaurants and everything you've achieved, you yourself are an institution, as far as I'm concerned.
I over the years, I hate to say that it's all about me, and it's funny we talk about this at the restaurants. Is like by accident, maybe on purpose, but mostly by accident. I've kind of like we've built these brands of the Fat Pasha, Fat Zune, and Schmaltz and Rosensons or whatever it was, but it's very much, I'm the face of it, right?
You are.
And, it's good now for sure. People come in, they love to see me, I love to see them, and we hang out and we have a good time. But, sustainably as we move forward, how do we, if we want to, separate the restaurants from me and make them their own entity, and or do we just like concentrate more on me and the marketing and branding behind that? So it's actually,
can they be two separate entities, right?
I don't know that they can be two separate entities.
Yeah.
Yet anyways. Maybe we've got another 10 15 years, which is Fat Pasha right now is 10 years old.
Holy
so
shit.
that's a long time.
It is.
And as I said before, I'm 40 years old, so like how many more years do I actually want to do this?
Yeah.
Maybe I want to sell houses or retail.
Well, you've been in this industry essentially your entire life, because your mom, Linda Rose, is one of our amazing agents. So you've seen this industry your entire life as well.
That's right, forever.
I mean,
crazy.
I would think that the hours involved in our industry are actually pretty comparable to the lifestyle that you would live in your business.
Yeah. My mom, I see my mom up like all hours of the night, waiting by the phone and trying to get everything done, and it's crazy. It's not for the faint of heart.
It is
like
not.
You're always on,
all weekends, all nights, nonstop.
And I'm very much the same with the restaurants. Like anything fucking happens, everyone's got my phone number. you know, I don't love that they use it all the time. You know, like if you can figure it out by yourself, you know, fucking do that. You know, I can be like a last case scenario, but you know, I've got great people. But yeah, very much so. I'm always there.
You got to go to every restaurant every night. Like, is it the kind of thing? I know when I eat at your restaurants, which is quite frequently, I always want to see you. I assume that's the case with a lot of people that come to the restaurant. So do you just bounce back and forth between all the restaurants every night?
You know, I used to do that, and I think there was a time when we had 6 restaurants. So there was Dupont Street, and I think there was on Ossington as well. And
that's a schlep.
That was a schlep, and before we had one on Queen Street, and you know, I did find that doing that was not good for me mentally because I couldn't like
you're fucking zipping back and forth.
Not only zipping back and forth, but to be able to your point, to like focus and concentrate on, you know, one place.
Yeah.
You know, being centralized on Dupont Street has, you know, for my mental health for sure and my anxiety, you know, has helped quite a bit. Yeah. So I can kind of go to Fatsoon and hang out there for one day. And then the next day at Fat Pasha, and then some days like I'll start early and just like hang out at Schmaltz all day. I find that I can't like concentrate if I'm like bouncing, and my ADD wants to bounce, but in terms of just trying to like get things done and creatively trying to figure out what the future of that actual space is, I need to really delve into it and spend a good amount of time there.
Yeah. One of the hard things in real estate, particularly for people that start teams, I don't know, you're probably not familiar, but teams is the new thing in real estate. You know, the top agents put together teams. They're almost sort of like mini brokerages within a brokerage. They have agents that work for them. But one of the hardest things when I had a team, even though I had amazing agents working for me, I always had trouble letting go. Like the ADD that I share as well, would drive me to not be able to let things go. So I don't know how you do that. Like if you're not there watching, you obviously have to have amazing staff that you trust completely. But did it take you a while to be able to step back and let other people sort of run the kitchen, run the show, that sort of shit?
Very much so. I think that the important thing that I learned over the years and still trying to learn is that, you know, whether I'm there or not, the staff members, and I do have great staff, are either they're going to succeed when I'm there or they're going to fail when I'm there. It's not like every night is perfect or every night's a failure. There's lots of wins and lots of losses, right? So I can't micromanage everything. That wouldn't be healthy for me and
it's a hard
or
thing
them.
to let go of, no?
It very, very much so. But if I didn't let go, like I'd be fucked.
Yeah.
Right?
Did it take time? Or was it you were able to make that transition?
Yeah, it still takes time.
Yeah.
It's still hard. Like, you know, we get, and I try not to do it, but, you know, we get positive reviews all the time. We get negative reviews all the time. And, you know, most people don't review you at all. So there are, you know, tons of people that come in and have a shit time, but tons of people that come in and have a great time. And when I see those negative reviews, you know, I definitely get my back up. I definitely kind of figure out.
Take it personally.
Yeah,
like, go fuck yourself, asshole.
Yeah. No, it's, you know, everyone's got a point, and you have to take it seriously. But it's also, you know, that was going to happen if I was there.
Sure.
Right. And I did. And it was like the other night or the other day, there was like a negative review. And, you know, I actually felt awkward during the night. Like I knew that table, you know, wasn't having the best time. And, you know, sure, like a lot of it was on them, but some of it was on us. And sure enough, the next day they left something negative. And I knew it was going to happen.
Really?
But there's nothing I could have done about it.
Like they took the time to write a Yelp review or a Google review.
That's right. That's right.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Do you find a lot of people take the time to actually do that? I mean, people will take the time to write a negative review, not a positive review.
We get much more positive reviews for sure.
Yeah.
And I personally don't leave a lot of reviews ever. You know, you're always prompted to leave something, especially if you're making a reservation through our online system. You know, it always prompts you the next day, but like most people don't. Most people don't give a shit. But, you know, if you walk out of there fucking pissed and all of a sudden you get this email saying, leave a review.
Damn right.
Right? It's like, people are no question going to do it. But it is what it is. And I do tend to not read them at all.
Shit. I never thought of that aspect of the business because I take shit so personally. Like that's the kind of thing that would keep me up at night.
Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, it's a lot.
I would take it so personally. Oh, yeah, I feel for you. That's a tough one. I mean, we beg our clients for reviews, beg, and a lot of times they're nice enough to do it. It's not like, we sort of have the option on reviews. It's not like in your industry where someone can just go on a website and leave a review. It's unchecked. There's no proof that what they're saying is true.
We get those all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Especially, actually, I wonder because you're in a, Fat Pasha particularly has an Israeli slant to it, or it's an Israeli restaurant, I guess, Israeli food anyways. Do you experience anything of what's going on, anti-Semitism, any anti-Israel stuff?
We actually experience that less at Fat Pasha because we're decidedly a Jewish restaurant,
Yeah.
let's say. Same thing with Schmaltz, where Fetzun is very much so a Middle Eastern restaurant.
Right.
And Middle Eastern is one thing, but owned by a Jew is another thing. But yet my chef there is Palestinian, so that's even another thing, right? So we do get lots of people trying to fish and trying to bait us. Like I got on Instagram the other day, this woman was asking me, it's like, oh, are you a Jewish restaurant or a Middle Eastern restaurant? And you just knew it's like, oh, you want to fight.
There's only one direction that's going.
So like for the most part, I just don't say a thing and I don't engage, and that's really the smartest thing over the years that I've learned to do. So it is interesting that we'd get a lot more of that at Fetzun than we do at Fat Pasha for sure.
Yeah. And what led you down that Jewish road? I mean, I love it. You know my stance on all things Jewish and Israeli. I love the food. I love the culture. But I never understood at the time what led you down that road, like that type of food. It's just you grew up with it, or?
It's not even that I grew up with it. I think it was, originally when we got the property, it was the Indian rice factory.
Yeah.
And
remember, I almost took the space above you.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I almost had an office above you.
We
ended up further down Davenport, but it was close.
So originally when we got the space, it was, we didn't know what we were going to do with it. All we knew was like, this is a great space. We want to do something here. And I guess about 10 years ago, Yotam Ottolenghi, the famous cookbook author and restaurateur out of London, had just come out with, I believe it was his first cookbook, and it was called Jerusalem. And it was very much based on the food in and around Jerusalem. And his co-author was Sami Tamimi, and they had this, and it just blew up. So I remember reading the book, and I was at the cottage, and I felt to myself like, oh, this is stuff that I know. This means something to me. Let's go down this route. But it was very Israeli. It was very hummus and sabish and things based around the Middle East and Israel and all that kind of gorgeous type of food. And I remember the closer I came to the opening date, it might have been like a month away. I'm like, oh, this isn't the food that I grew up with. This isn't my type of Jewish food. I mean, I grew up, around the corner. We would go to Falafel King or Jerusalem.
Sneak out of shul, go to Falafel King.
Yeah, or like those very simply, like the falafel and the pitas and the kebabs and the rice. That's what I knew. So I felt like, if we were going down this Jewish road, I had to cook from my heart. And that was my mom's cooking. So it was the brisket and the matzo ball soup and the latkes and the pastrami. So we kind of put them together.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, it's a massive hit. So it just totally made sense. I mean, we just decided.
You touched a nerve, that's for sure.
Well, we touched a nerve, and we were kind of ahead of the curve on that kind of Israeli, Middle Eastern type of food and where hospitality was going, and people just loved it. And it's to this day still the busiest thing we have, and so much so. Recently, I guess about 7-8 months ago, we decided to get rid of Rosenson's and Big Crow. And one of the reasons for that, not only the pandemic, but what I was talking about before, just to be able to try to focus and concentrate and, put all our creativity into the Middle Eastern, into the Jewish, into the things that actually work, rather than constantly trying to reinvent or trying so hard on something that just, hadn't been working.
Right. Amazing. And, you talk about that. Can you tell us a bit about the how Michelin rated you recently? Like, that must have been huge for the business.
Especially after the last 3 years. I mean,
yeah,
hospitality in general is an extremely tough business. And it was, even 5 years ago, before the pandemic hit, things were looking against restaurants in general, and inflation and rents and just fucking everything across the board. And, there's only so much that, not necessarily the people will pay for the food, but there's only so much that I feel comfortable charging for the food as well, before it's like, what the fuck is going on? How can you pay $38 for a cauliflower?
Yeah.
I think our cauliflower is $36.
Yeah, it's damn fucking good cauliflower.
Anyways, after the pandemic and kind of like coming out of it, it was just so important to be able to figure out how to do that. And when Michelin, I think the best part of it, the Michelin thing, is that, I had no idea. It wasn't even on my radar. Didn't even think about it. Like,
so they don't reach out to you in advance. It's a total surprise.
It's a total surprise.
Awesome.
I remember getting these emails like, come to the party, come to the opening party, and in my mind, it's like, yeah, they're just inviting a bunch of chefs around town.
Yeah.
Bunch of hospitality people, and I was just busy. So I'm like, guys, like, I'm really sorry I can't be there. I have to be at the restaurant. And they're like, okay, thanks. And then I remember working that night, and I started getting these texts of photos that we had were on the Bib Gourmand list.
Yeah.
And it still didn't kind of like click to me at that point. Like I didn't know, what it was going to mean, but literally within the week, our reservations had doubled.
Yeah.
It was nuts, and we were like turning away people, which was, we hadn't done that for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think within Michelin, you're like a 3-star restaurant, a 2-star restaurant, a 1-star restaurant. And for sure, I was none of those things. And we got the destination of Bib Gourmand, which means that, we're delicious. It's a fun, festive place where you can walk out and it's like not too expensive and you can just have a good time, which is exactly what we are.
That's exactly what you were going for.
Exactly.
Right.
But in my mind, it was, I never, ever thought about Michelin.
Sure. Well, they've never oddly been in Toronto before, which is nuts. Yeah. It's amazing. I was so excited when I saw that day. I mean, you knew it would have to translate into a ton of increased business, and I'm glad to hear that that's the case. I just want to go back to, you're talking about your mom's influence on your cooking and your family. I've obviously known your family forever.
Forever.
A family that's close, like, nothing, like so few families are as close as your family. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Thank you.
Watching it my entire life, I feel part of the family. Their influence on your career is astounding. I mean, I guess I sort of face that influence as well. I'm in a business that I always wanted to sort of be like my dad and be in that industry. But the closeness of your family has really been an aspect of your business.
Yeah, I think that when you look at, not necessarily, for sure the support, they're actually at the restaurants every single week, which is
it's crazy,
ridiculous and amazing. But, growing up, my family, we traveled together, and traveling meant eating, right? Mm-hmm. As you know, my dad's a huge wine snob, and I use that in a negative connotation. He knows that. And, my mom is an amazing baker and cook, and, I just grew up cooking and grew up eating out, and without their support, even when I went to cooking school, like, I guess it was like maybe 35 years ago. Sorry.
No.
32 years ago, something like that.
Because we came to stay with you in San Francisco.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And
what was the name of that restaurant you worked in there?
Farallon.
Fairlawn.
Yeah, right downtown.
Yeah.
But even like
my car got towed from right outside Fairlawn. Do you remember that?
you guys were so
Idiots.
stupid.
What does this yellow line mean? I think it means we can park there. Fuck.
But, even me choosing that at that point, and this was like before the Food Network or anything, at that point, choosing this very blue collar career, wasn't
What are
the
you,
norm.
nuts?
Yeah, exactly. So, and they were just like so into it, and they were always supportive, and it was amazing, and being able to have their support, and then years later, kind of being able to very, very much like dive into my mom's food and my grandparents' food, and kind of really use that as like this blank slate in terms of where my career was going. It was amazing.
Yeah. Huh. You've seen a total change in your industry. Like you mentioned it when you started, the industry itself was not what it is today. Like literally today, chefs are celebrities. They're artists. We look at the dining experience much differently than when you started. And you've sort of transgressed that entire change. And you as a person is so much an element of your restaurants. I know we talked about this a bit at the beginning, but you're such an element of the restaurants besides the food, besides the ambience. It's your character, it's your personality that comes through. Like your newsletter, for example. I don't know how many people you've got that up to, but I love your newsletter.
72,000.
72,000.
And we actually have what they call a very good open rate.
Open rate. What is your open rate?
Our open rate, last time I checked, was like 38%.
Wow.
Which is nuts, apparently.
Yeah, it is indeed.
And then there's like a share rate as well. Like it's pretty amazing that people actually open it and actually read it. And because we update the email lists, every couple months, because we collect emails when you make a reservation or talk to us, we always get one or two people it just says like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Unsubscribe. This is ridiculous. Yeah, every single time.
They just don't get it.
No, they don't get it at all. Huh. It's pretty awesome, though.
Well, I love it. I think it's amazing. I send a newsletter every month as well. And every month I say to myself, I want to break away from the traditional fucking real estate newsletter and do something like you're doing. I don't have the balls for it. This is about as ballsy as I get this podcast. But in our industry, people deal with people that they like, for one thing, because you got to spend a lot of time together. They deal with people that they think kick ass because everybody wants an agent that kicks ass. But I think a lot of young agents could learn from that aspect of what you're doing. I think, we're starting to see in our industry now the celebrity agent. Like you look at all the shows on television,
right.
They became cooking shows. Now they're real estate shows, Selling Sunset, the Sirhan guy, like top agents in Toronto have like huge followings on their podcasts, on their Instagrams and all that stuff.
What I'm noticing also on your side is a lot of people kind of like getting into the business, young people with a huge Instagram following and or TikTok or Twitter. And then all of a sudden they're a realtor and all they're doing is like reposting things that are already out there. And they're just kind of like showing this is a property. This is what I'm featuring this week. And then that's how they're trying to like get their gigs up.
And some of them have built huge businesses.
Yeah.
Like when agents used to come in for an interview just getting their license fresh out of school, I'd say you'd be lucky to make 30 grand in your first year. They have these ideas in their head. They're going to walk into the industry. They're going to make $100,000 their first year. I say, get that fucking dream out of your head. It's not going to happen. It's a reverse pyramid. It starts small. As long as you keep at it, you'll build. And by the third year, hopefully you'll be there. But now some of these kids starting with the TikTok followings they have, the Instagram followings they have, you could see agents make like $500,000 in their first year just because they're so established online already and they're getting business from this. This is the way, I guess, the millennials, the new generation, are picking, who they work for.
Right.
Never in a million years did I fucking imagine I would have to do what I'm doing on social media now or having a podcast. Yeah. Like, it's absurd, but you got to change with the times. And
well, the thing is, like, even in my business as well, and it's so hard, is all you're trying to do, Darren, is just stay relevant. Right? So like you can't just like lay on your laurels. You can't just like, have this cauliflower dish that's going to happen forever. Like, you always have to like be creative and like think about what's next and just like keep going and going and going. You can't
100%.
you can't stop. So in terms of the podcast or the TikTok, like this is what people are doing, and that's how people are getting their news. Like, that's where you got to fucking be.
100%. You always have to be changing with the times or you're going to sink. And I find you have to be entrepreneurial with your business. Like, you can't just settle for the bricks and mortar. Like, we sell real estate, that's what we do. Since I've taken over in the last year, there's a lot of, I don't want to call them sub businesses, but we're changing the business. Like this location we're in, we opened up this studio for people. We opened up a collaborative space just outside, just in the other room for agents to be working on their social media. We've brought in new things with staging. We're bringing in a new concierge service that starts in the new year. So you need to constantly be entrepreneurial. You need to be ahead of the curve and not just resting on the traditional business. So with that being said, are you moving into any other areas? Like Schmaltz, I think, is awesome. Do you foresee selling your product? Like a lot of restaurants. I'm trying to think of the pasta sauce my kids always make me buy from a famous Italian restaurant. Are you going to be marketing yourself like that? I know you have a book. Your book was fantastic. But what about selling foods in supermarkets?
Yeah, we're trying to think about what's next. I think the most important thing that we've come up with is that we don't want to do more restaurants. We're okay with, having the 2 or 3 that we have and concentrating on that. But, that doesn't really translate into like a livelihood for me and my business partners. And it's not that we don't want to work hard. We just feel that with restaurants, there's so many layers. It's getting more expensive to run, and it's
harder to staff.
And you're kind of like fighting for that 1 or 2 cents on the dollar, where a dozen years ago, maybe you were like 10 or 12 cents on the dollar. Like it's different. It's really different. So you're not wrong when it comes to, what are we doing next in terms of like, is it products? Is it going into grocery stores? Is it another book? And, we've really kind of like hung on to the idea for the past year or so that, even before the Michelin designation, that we wanted to concentrate on Fat Pasha and Schmaltz. And what does that mean? Does it mean cross-country shipping? Does it mean product lines? Does it mean catering? Does it mean, large private dining spaces? So like that's what we're thinking about now. And
can you monetize the newsletter at all?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
We haven't.
Have you been approached?
Yeah, we have. We have. We don't.
You must have been approached to be on TV a million times.
I have.
Yeah.
We haven't really. I don't see the value in the newsletter yet. Like, the return is so little. It's like I think it'll just piss off more people at this point. We could lose 30,000 people, and maybe have some pay. But like I don't really give a shit about that.
Yeah.
No, it's like you want to have like free access to like everything else that we're doing. And then, yeah, you're right. Like, in terms of like marketing myself and doing, my own podcast or a TikTok channel or like travel and food and things like that. It is something that is on the docket for next year for sure.
Good. Yeah, it should be there.
Any ideas for me? What do you think I should do?
I got lots of ideas for you, man.
I have an oldie.
When I think of all the shit that we've gotten into, I was wondering, and I'll edit this out if you want me to, okay? I don't know if you remember, we were at your cousin's farm, like, I don't remember how old I was, 12 years old probably, and we were ripping around on ATVs.
Yeah.
You remember when we smashed into the tree? I was like hanging onto your back, and you asked me left or right, and I said left, and then I went, no, right, and we just plowed right in. We could have died.
Yeah.
We should have probably died.
Jesus.
And then you convinced me to race you at Alpine one year, and I crashed right into a ski instructor.
Yeah.
Broke her nose. Horrible. Never felt so guilty in my life. But it was all pre-age of 13.
Yeah.
So.
I think we had a good time.
Oh, my God. We had a great time. I mean, so many childhood milestones you were there. Because we learned good or bad from you the entire way up. Great
it's
role
funny,
model.
Mikey has the same stories as well. terms of like a first cigarette or a joint
Oh
or
my
something
God,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think-
Anthony does it. It must be
Yeah.
okay.
Well, that was the thing. Like
I
Howie,
followed you to Metro Prep.
Howie and David were much more conservative than I was.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, let's try everything once and see what
Absolutely.
happens.
Yeah. I remember it was the summer before going into grade 7. So I think we're talking like 1988. And the Rolling Stones Steel Wheels tour was there. And you got forced to taking Lorne and I with you to the show. I was 13 years old. Try the first joint of the Steel Wheels
Oh,
tour.
my God, I love that.
It was great. So like, yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had the greatest junior high school years ever. And we certainly hung out at your house and your cottage all the time. It was just spectacular.
Yeah.
Even still to this day. And your brother is one of the most amazing people. First of all, he's your biggest cheerleader. Not that we wouldn't choose to come to your places all the time anyway, but he's like, any event that we have is always supporting you, and we all love to support you. And always at your cottage or your house, he's always getting us together. We have a tremendous friend group, and
Yep,
it's
it's
a
the best.
large part because he keeps us close together for special events, which is amazing. And all those special events are also always around you because we're always at one of your places, which
Yeah.
is amazing. So all those memories are going to be intertwined.
I love that, and it's so special for me because I was away for like a large portion of kind of like early adulthood. I was gone for like 12 years, and
For sure.
then I came back, and like it's not like I didn't want to be friends with like a lot of the guys that I was friends with, but
Like in high school.
in high school, but like my best friend Anthony was living in Switzerland. My other buddy Noah was like living in Hong Kong.
Right.
And like I came back, it's like, oh yeah, those guys are gone. So it was such a pleasure to like, and a gift to like hang out with you guys. And even like my sister's friends as well. Like it's, I have like a great group over there, and then like a few other guys that I hang out with.
So you really chased your dream. I never thought about that aspect. Like it took a lot of balls to leave at that age. Like you went to San Francisco first, right?
I went to San Francisco and I was there for 5
This was
years.
right after high school?
No, I did go to Concordia for 2 years.
Okay.
And I got caught cheating on an exam.
Ooh.
And they kicked me
turfed
out.
you?
They turfed me.
Yeah.
But
Oh, shit, how do you make that call home to Joel and Linda? Or did the school
I
call
know.
them?
I got to say though, like, looking back historically, had I not got kicked out, because it was after that I started cooking full time.
Wow.
So
In Toronto, like Chentro's
in
and shit
Toronto,
like that.
Trentro, North 44. I had already been cooking, but now it's
Was
like
that through your dad's relationships with him you got
very early on at Chentro, yes,
Yeah.
for sure. And then with Mark for about a year at North 44. And then after I left Concordia, or after I was told to leave Concordia, I started cooking.
How early into the year was that? Like,
It
did
was-
you pay rent for the whole year and then you
No,
got kicked out?
it was like at the
Towards the
last
end?
of the second year, so
Okay.
we didn't have to do that. And then I moved to San Francisco,
Yeah.
and then I went to cooking school, and then San Francisco for 5 years, and then New York for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. I never actually got the pleasure of seeing you in New York. But I remember staying at your place, living on your couch in San Francisco. And that
Yeah, I
was
would.
just-
If I had to live somewhere again, it wouldn't be New York.
No?
I'm happy to like go and visit, and that's about it. And then in terms of San Francisco and like Northern California,
It's beautiful.
I think it's the greatest place in the world.
Agreed. My brother Howard still lives out there. He's in
That's right.
Menlo Park, and I never get out enough. But I think Christmas in a couple of weeks we're going to Vegas in California. So
Oh, really? That's so
yeah,
cool.
hopefully I'll get up there.
You have to, man. I love
Yeah.
that guy. I haven't seen him forever.
Yeah. Well, he moved back for a couple of years.
I remember.
And then they did not love Toronto.
Yeah.
So they went back, unfortunately, for me, because, my kids never get to be around their cousins. They all live in California. So
Yeah.
it was nice to have them here for a few years. I want to talk about, just quickly, we got a few more minutes left, the drinking aspect of eating. Like, me, I like a very dry martini, like just cold vodka in a glass with a couple of
me too.
olives.
Yeah.
All the Michigas that people are going nuts over all the fancy drinks, like everybody's going crazy about drinks. Is there a value to that, or is it just show?
No, very much. There's huge value to that. I'm the same as you. I I don't drink a lot of cocktails. Martini would be my go-to. I don't even drink a lot of wine or beer. I think I'm a little different than a restaurateur or chef in that way. But people, that culture is not going away. It's only getting bigger and stronger and more interesting. And at my restaurants, we definitely have like a little bit of everything, but we don't have like a massive wine list or beer list or cocktail list. It's like we're small restaurants.
Yeah.
So
But it's interesting. That's all that matters.
yeah, I mean, the less
Doesn't have to be
inventory
huge.
we carry, the better, right? Because it's all money on the books. But we definitely, want to have fun with that, and we let our crew kind of
Invent shit.
And it's funny, one of the things that is really selling right now at Fat Pasha is a drink that one of the guys came up with called the French 72, which is, a version of a very classic kind of like the other French cocktail. But the only difference is that we have these wild blueberries we put in there that have been doused with Manischewitz.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
So it's very
awesome.
kind of like cheeky and fun. But that's like as far as I want to go with it. And
Yeah.
just kind of, the
Some of these
easier.
concoctions you see today with like smoke blowing out
Yeah.
of here and
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. I guess I just don't have the palate for it. Do you have a favorite? This is probably ridiculous because you actually know what you're talking about. But do you have a favorite martini in the city?
No, I
No?
I absolutely do not.
I do.
On,
You know who I think makes the best martini in the city?
who's that?
House of Chan.
Oh, they make a great one. I had
They
one
make-
there not too long ago.
I look from the frosted glass to
Yeah.
just the proportions to the olives. I think they make the best martini in the
My
city.
business partners are taking me to Barbarians on Thursday.
Oh, you know my story with Barbarians. It breaks my heart. I love Barbarians. The fact that I can't go in there anymore kills me.
So good.
Yeah.
Anyways, they make
I'll
a
save
great,
that story for another
great
time.
martini.
Yes, they do. They do.
Yeah.
That literally, it honestly breaks my heart. That was one of my favorite experiences in the city. I loved going to Barbarians.
Yeah.
And it breaks my, he called my dad. He called my dad.
Did he really?
Yeah, he called my dad. Awful.
I love that.
Anyways, Ed, I really appreciate that you came in. I don't want to take too much of your time. That was a lot of fun for me. I enjoyed that. And
I do think maybe next episode, if you did like a public apology
Two Barbarians?
to Barbarians,
Yeah.
right? And call Aaron and just like fucking
Do you speak to Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay,
Tell-
next time you see him, tell him how bad I feel. He doesn't know the whole story. Okay?
Let's get it
He
out
wasn't
there.
there. No, I was so shamed.
I know.
I can't go back. But if he came to me and apologized, because I think there's a
All
dual
right,
apology
all right.
needed there. I think
We could do a sit down. I
yeah.
can mediate.
Yeah, because I still like, even if I see him at a Blue Jay game or something, I'll turn the other way.
Oh,
I'm like
no.
embarrassed. Yeah. Anyways, buddy, thank you. That was so much fun. I really appreciate it again, guys. Episode 7, Spotify. We'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, bud.